Welcome to the deep dive. So, computers, technology, it's everywhere, right?
Absolutely, constantly changing.
And one of you actually mentioned getting curious about it after seeing a YouTube video.
Ah, which one?
It was from a channel, English Podcast Zone. They were talking about buying a new computer, that whole scenario.
Oh, right, the classic situation. Your old machine is grinding to a halt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you end up talking to a salesperson.
Uh-huh. Who inevitably tries to sell you the latest and greatest. It's something we've probably all experienced.
Definitely. So that's our plan today. We're going to sort of unpack that conversation.
Yeah, trying to make sense of some of the jargon, the tech terms,
And look at why things seem to get old so fast.
and, just generally figure out how big a role these machines play in, well, everything.
Okay, so let's start with that sales scene they talked about. The basic problem was just a slow computer, right?
Pretty much. Super slow. The person hoped maybe it was just a small fix, but nope.
The diagnosis was old age. In tech years, anyway.
Exactly. Not broken, just obsolete or getting there. Which brings up that whole feeling we get.
That technology is just constantly moving.
Yeah, it's ever changing, as they said in the video. And things become obsolete faster and faster.
It really feels like that sometimes. You buy something new, blink, and suddenly it's, well, not the newest anymore.
It's that cycle, isn't it? Innovation keeps pushing things forward. Newer, faster, more efficient stuff comes out.
And makes your old gear feel like a dinosaur.
Pretty much. And back in that sales chat, there was the upsell, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah. The temptation to get the latest model with all the fancy specs.
That's often where people maybe get a bit confused, like one of the YouTube hosts said.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. When the salesperson starts throwing around terms like processor speed, RAM, hard disk size.
It does sound like another language. So maybe we can translate a bit.
Good idea.
They mentioned a 4 gigahertz processor. What's that actually telling me?
Okay, so the processor, think of it like the computer's brain. It does the thinking, the calculating.
For process.
Exactly. And gigahertz, that's basically its speed. How many tasks, sort of, it can juggle per second?
So 4 gigahertz is pretty fast.
Yeah, that's a decent speed. A quick brain, it can handle a good amount of information quickly. It comes from the word process, like a word processor processes words.
Okay, got it.
And sometimes they talk about cores too. Like in the video later, they mentioned a Mac having multiple cores.
What are cores? Like extra brains?
It's kinda, yeah, you can think of it like that. The multi-core processor has several processing units, several brains, working together on the same chip.
Ah, so you can do more things at once.
Exactly. Better for multitasking, running heavy-duty programs, that sort of thing.
Okay, processor speed and cores. Makes sense. Then there was 16 gigabytes in RAM. What's RAM?
Right, RAM, random access memory. Think of it as the computer's short-term memory.
Yeah.
Like it's desktop or workbench.
So not for storing files long term.
No, it's where the computer puts stuff it needs to access really quickly. Like the programs you're currently running, the documents you have open.
I'll just grab them instantly.
Precisely. And 16 gigabytes. 16 gigabyte, that's a good amount of workbench space. Lets you run several things smoothly without slowdowns.
What happens if you don't have enough RAM?
Well, things can get sluggish.
Yeah.
The computer might have to constantly swap things out, which takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could even freeze up.
Ah, the dreaded freeze.
Yeah.
And then the hard disk with 1 TB, that sounds huge.
It is pretty big. The hard disk, or nowadays often an SSD, a solid-state drive, that's your long-term storage.
Got it.
Your filing cabinet.
Where everything lives permanently. Your photos, documents, the operating system itself.
Exactly, all that stuff. And TB, that's terabyte. They mentioned the scale right. Mega. Giga. Teras.
Yeah, smallest to biggest.
Right. And the jumps are massive. A gigabyte is roughly 1,000 megabytes. A terabyte is roughly 1,000 gigabytes.
Whoa, so a terabyte is 1,000,000 megabytes.
Pretty much. Huge amounts of space. One of the hosts thought maybe 200 movies could fit. It really depends on the movie file size. Could be more, could be less. But yeah, 1 TB is a lot of room.
And you mentioned SSDs, solid state drives.
Yeah, they're becoming standard in a lot of new computers instead of the older spinning hard disks.
Not any better.
Generally, yes, much faster. Think of an old hard disk like a record player. A physical arm has to move to find the data. Takes time.
Okay.
An SSD is all electronic, like a big USB stick, no moving parts. Access is almost instant, makes a whole computer feel way quicker. Booting up, opening programs, much faster.
Right, mega gigatera. Got it. But the customer in that YouTube scenario, they had a simpler question, didn't they?
Huh, yeah. Basically, is it any good? Can I play solitaire without it crashing or freezing?
Which is fair enough. Sometimes you just want the basics to work reliably.
Absolutely. You don't always need the absolute fastest, most powerful machine for just browsing or simple games.
And they mentioned freezing. We know what that feels like. The computer just stops.
Yeah, totally unresponsive. Often need to reboot it. Super frustrating, especially if you haven't saved your work.
Oh, definitely been there. Okay, let's switch tracks a bit. The YouTube video also had like a language focus section.
Ah, yes, the language takeaway. They talked about the word obsolete.
Meaning basically old and replaced by something better.
Exactly. No longer used because a newer, better alternative exists. Like old technology becomes obsolete.
They also mentioned old words becoming obsolete, like thy and thine.
Yeah, which is a great point. Language evolves too, just like tech. Words fall out of use.
Fascinating. And then there was a fluency builder part too. First phrase was ever changing.
Right, just means always changing, constantly in flux,
Yeah.
like technology.
They compared it to the ocean and smartphones, appliances.
Yeah, things that are always being updated, improved, changed. It does make it hard to keep up sometimes.
Totally. And it affects jobs too, right? Automation and needing new skills.
For sure. Then there was, I know where this is going.
Which the customer said when the sales pitch started heating up.
Exactly. It means you can predict what's about to happen or what someone's about to say or suggest. Often used when you sense a sales pitch coming.
Or maybe a predictable movie plot.
Huh. Yeah, or that. You can see the ending a mile off.
Okay. And the last phrase, top of the line.
Meaning the best, the highest quality available, like the salesperson described the new computer.
They used a BMW as an example.
Right. Usually for manufactured things like cars, electronics, you wouldn't really say a meal or a painting was top of the line in the same way. Or a person.
Interesting distinction. Good to know those nuances. Now, they also touched briefly on personal stuff, Macs versus PCs, that old chestnut.
Ah, yes, the eternal debate. It popped up briefly.
What were the main points they hit?
Just the common stereotypes, really. Macs seen as user-friendly, maybe fewer viruses, good for creative work.
And PCs often favored for gaming.
Yeah, that's the general perception. But really, it boils down to what you like and what you need it for.
One of them mentioned her Mac had a multi-core processor, connecting back to what you explained earlier.
Right. Having those multiple brains can definitely help with demanding tasks like video editing or graphic design, which are often associated with Mac. So that might be part of why they have that creative reputation.
Makes sense. Okay, let's zoom out now. The bigger picture. The whole evolution of computers. It's kind of mind-blowing how far we've come.
Isn't it? I mean, try to imagine life before computers were common.
Hard to picture. Sending letters using encyclopedias.
Waiting for the weather report on the radio. Everything took so much longer. Communication, finding information, totally different world.
And the very first computers,
Mm.
they weren't exactly portable, were they?
Not even close. We're talking massive machines filling entire rooms developed around the mid-20th century.
And slow and expensive.
Incredibly slow by our standards, yes.
Yeah.
Hugely expensive, really complex. Only big organizations could afford or use them. Governments, universities, massive companies.
And things started to change. The personal computer revolution,
Yeah.
70s, 80s.
Exactly. That was the big shift. Computers started getting smaller, faster, cheaper. Suddenly, they could fit in homes, on desks.
And people started using them for what? Typing letters,
Oh.
games.
Yeah, word processing, early spreadsheets, simple games, educational software. It really opened things up.
And figures like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were key then.
Absolutely. Apple and Microsoft, they were instrumental in making computers more approachable, more user-friendly for ordinary people, not just specialists.
That really paved the way for computers becoming everyday tools.
Totally. And then came the next massive leap, the internet, in the 90s.
Right, connecting everything up.
It was revolutionary. A global network. Suddenly, sharing information was almost instant. Email took off, websites popped up.
Search engines like Google, Yahoo, Wikipedia later on.
Exactly. Access to information just exploded. It changed learning, work, research, pretty much everything.
And just when we thought that was huge, smartphones arrived.
Right, starting really with the iPhone in, 2007, that put the internet, communication, cameras, everything right in your pocket.
A tiny, powerful computer.
Essentially, yes, with apps for everything imaginable.
Like Duolingo for languages, WhatsApp for chatting, Facebook, Instagram.
The list is endless. It made the world feel smaller, more connected, instantly accessible.
Which actually brings us nicely back to the original source video, and something probably very relevant for you listening. Using tech for learning English.
Yes, absolutely. Technology is just an incredible toolkit for language learners now.
The video mentioned watching YouTube, listening to podcasts like this one.
Exactly. Huge amounts of listening and viewing practice available, plus dedicated apps like Duolingo for grammar and vocab.
What about speaking?
Well, there's voice recognition software now that can give you feedback on pronunciation. That's amazing. And simple things like digital flashcard apps for memorizing words.
And connecting with people. You can find language exchange partners online, right? Talk to native speakers anywhere.
Definitely. It offers real practice, cultural insights, things that were much harder to get before.
So technologies transform language learning too. Now looking ahead, the video mentioned AI, artificial intelligence.
Yes. The next big wave, it seems. Everyone's talking about AI.
But what is it, simply put?
Well, basically, it's about creating computer programs that can think and learn a bit like humans do, recognizing patterns, making decisions, solving problems,
And the potential uses they mentioned.
all sorts of things. Speeding up work, helping doctors with diagnoses, maybe making teaching more personalized, improving car safety.
Smart homes, wearable tech like smart glasses.
Yeah, possibilities seem enormous
Yeah.
and potentially a bit daunting.
Maybe a little, but the key message seemed to be about getting comfortable with technology, right?
Precisely. Learning how to use these tools effectively. The video suggested it's becoming as vital as basic literacy, like reading and writing.
That's a strong statement, but probably true. Understanding tech helps in work, learning, just life.
It really does empower you.
So, wrapping up this deep dive then, we've gone from room-sized calculators to pocket supercomputers. It's been quite a journey.
An incredible acceleration, and it's clearly not stopping.
Understanding this stuff isn't just about gadgets, is it?
Yeah.
It's about having the skills for the world we live in now and the one that's coming.
Well said. It's about navigating the present and preparing for the future.
And your final thought for you to chew on. How has technology changed your life? Especially how you learn things. And thinking ahead, what changes do you see coming, and how might they affect your own path? It's a story that's still being written. Keep exploring.